Breaking news this morning from the Premier League. Arne Slot is out at Liverpool after 2 seasons. Slot replaced long-time manager Jurgen Klopp and saw immediate success in his first season, winning the club's second Premier League title. But the Dutchman led a disappointing campaign this season despite record-breaking transfer spend in the summer. Liverpool fell to 5th in the league and lost 19 matches in all competitions. Arne Slot drew heavy criticism for the team's drop-off this season and their style of play, and in a statement, Liverpool said it was a difficult decision, but, quote, change is necessary in order for the club to keep moving forward. And according to multiple reports, former Bournemouth coach Andoni Iraola is the favourite to succeed Slot. So, boys, let's talk about Arne Slot. Look at his resume. He had a great year with Liverpool, winning the Premier League with them last season. This year he did make the Champions League, though, obviously had those 19 losses. Are we surprised that Liverpool have sacked Arne Slot right now? Because even though it wasn't the best of seasons, Lahoud, they made the Champions League.
Yeah, I'm not surprised about this one bit. Just for context, Liverpool usually don't make these sorts of decisions. They usually aren't a reactive club to sack managers. The reason why I'm not surprised, in my opinion, Arne Slot lost that locker room. They lost 20 matches in all competitions, which is something that's substandard for Liverpool. Should not happen when you spend the amount of money that you do. You spend that money to be Premier League title contenders. You spend that sort of money they spend, whether you mismanage how you spend that money, that's a different conversation, which I'm sure we'll have. But for me, the big moment, the moment of no return was the Mohamed Salah Instagram post or social media post. It wasn't just Mohamed Salah calling him out, saying that Liverpool are a club that deserves better, that Liverpool fans deserves better. Mohamed Salah was speaking as a Liverpool fan, not just as a player. And from that moment, the fact that a lot of Liverpool players like that message, that told me you've lost the locker room, and most likely you're on the verge, whether it was the end of this season or at some point at the start of next season. I think it was only time before we'd see him lose his job. It was inevitable.
What I'll add is that Arne Slot took over Jurgen Klopp's side. It was Jurgen Klopp's team that he took over, and in some cases, you just need a new voice. And a new voice comes in, and they're still playing that rock and roll football. And they absolutely were sensational last season. Now you start to move on some parts. You bring in some new players. He did not get the best out of Florian Wirtz. He did not get the best out of Frimpong,
Kirkes.
And these are guys that he clearly wanted in his team. Now, that for me showed that when he started to implement his own ideas, things started to go south. The guys clearly were not going in his direction. They were not backing his style and his philosophy. And to Lahoud's point, he lost the locker room. It was clear. And when you have the icon in Mohamed Salah saying, hey, we need to get back to where we were, it means everybody's, and to your point, everybody was backing Mohamed Salah. So you had fans and players, especially the players, on one side versus Arne Slot. And so the problem for me is, in knowing this, you ruled out all the candidates that you possibly could have had, and Xabi Alonso was available. He goes to Chelsea. So now you do have Iraola, who's a good candidate. I would say go out and try and get Unai Emery. I would say try and make a play and steal him from Villa if you can. Pochettino, I'm sure, is going to say, hey, this is another opportunity for me to look at because I know he's interested in Milan. But, yeah, the candidates now, is Iraola really going to be the choice? And is he going to restore Liverpool back to where they were as competing for the Premier League and competing for Champions League? I don't know.
Yeah, what I think about with regard to last season was at the end of 2025, they went on a run where they lost 9 out of 12. And in that run of 9 of those losses, they lost to Man City, Nottingham Forest, and PSV in the Champions League, all by 3 or more goals. And at that point, I thought morale was really down. And can Arne Slot start to turn it? He did slightly, and they got into the Champions League, but you could tell there was some discontent throughout that period, and they maybe had lost some of their identity. Now, we should bring into the equation that he had to manage the Diogo Jota situation, the heavy emotional, like how do you even bounce back from that? You could tell it impacted the team in a lot of different ways. So then you bring on a whole bunch of signings. On top of that, you lose Lucho Diaz, you lose Trent Alexander-Arnold, Connor Bradley didn't step up and be the guy that they thought he was going to be. You got Dominic Szoboszlai playing out of position at right. I mean, they just were kind of all over the place, and it never felt like they found the rhythm that they needed. And ultimately, that cost him his job. And he couldn't. Not only could he not get the best out of the new guys, like Konate had a down year. I didn't think this was Virgil van Dijk's best year. Szoboszlai was probably the best player out there. McAllister didn't have his best year. And that's up to the coach as well. How do you continue to motivate and squeeze the most out of your guys that you know have been playing or giving you 7 or 8 out of 10s every time you step on the field? So they got to figure out what that looks like, and now they're going to look for a new voice. And I think Iraola would be a perfect guy to bring in, but he's got a certain style and a little bit of rock and roll in him where they just go for it. But the guys have to be bought in on the amount of work it's going to take to get back to that level.
Who would you want Liverpool to bring in? I know David Ornstein tweeted that Iraola is a potential, but what about some of the other names?
Yeah, definitely not Pierre Sage. I'm a big fan of Szoboszlai, and I don't know if you guys watch Stuttgart in the Bundesliga. Plays an exciting, dynamic brand of football. I could see Szoboszlai at some point just waiting out for that Bayern Munich job, has ties to Bayern Munich whenever Vincent Kompany decides he's going to go manage Manchester City. But with regard to Liverpool, Andoni Iraola is a perfect fit. And you had used the word heavy metal football. It is just a match made in heaven because Liverpool fans, they're crying out for someone to come and inspire this damn club. Arne Slot was not it. The big thing for when I watched Arne Slot last season or this past season, his lack of an ability to adapt. He looked like a fish out of water so many times. When plan A didn't work, it was, oh, let's try plan A yet again. For me and for Liverpool and for Liverpool fans, what Andoni Iraola is going to bring is this sense of intensity to Liverpool.
Could I add something to
very quickly? A player that I would build the project around, who is made to play for Iraola, Dominic Szoboszlai, will excel to become one of the most elite midfielders in all of Europe under Iraola. This season, he took a massive step up in the Premier League. Mark my words, if Iraola becomes the manager, look for Szoboszlai to be the main man at Liverpool.
I would just add, if Iraola goes to Liverpool, could it not be like a Thomas Frank leaving Brentford to go to Tottenham?
It's possible.
It's too big of a task.
Anything.
Well,
Yeah. Anything
but
can
Arne
happen.
Slot
It's a
going
gamble.
from where he was, right? Was he?
But that's a different league. I'm talking about a Premier League manager who's done well, who has a good reputation.
In a mid-table club.
Consistent, mid-table. Thomas Frank worked wonders at Brentford.
But
and he was always linked to the biggest jobs. He was linked to Manchester United. Iraola, it's coming from Bournemouth, and he's done an incredible job. But to say that it's automatic that he's going to go to Liverpool and they're going to take off.
I think that
that's true.
the thing that I look at it
that's what I'm saying.
differently-
It's like hesitant.
The thing that I look at it differently with Thomas Frank, and Thomas Frank did a very good job at Brentford. He never got European football.
So he had to manage.
Andoni Iraola got European football. He was one result away from getting Champions League football. That's a big different conversation. That's a big different sort of accolades. And for me, you're talking about a manager that was in the running, and rightfully so, to be Premier League manager of the season. My personal opinion, he was the second best manager in the Premier League this season, given the resources he had, given the players that he lost. He lost Antoine Semenyo mid-season and still almost got Champions League football. So Iraola is a manager
I would have
that
said Unai Emery, but
yeah, I think
Oliver
Iraola is a
Glasner?
manager that
Oliver Glasner.
Mauricio
I think we need to
Pochettino?
put some respect to his name.
Phenomenal.
He's a really
So
good
many
manager.
names.